Hello folks, it's Joe Wheaton from Utah State University, and we're just going to wrap up what we covered in Module 3 on planning for this low-tech PBR workshop. So we started out with an overview of the planning portion of the conservation planning process from Jeremy Maestas. And what we did in there was really learn that there's a lot of different ways you can look at planning, but the conservation planning process is what we've chosen to adapt to lay out the planning steps and really what needs to come out of planning to cue you up for a successful design and implementation. So Jeremy got us going there. And then we spent some time really in a crash course of fluvial geomorphology. And we started out with our first component of reading riverscapes by mapping valley bottoms, because this is what puts bounds on what's plausible in terms of the area that could be flooded, mesic, support riparian vegetation, etc. And that provides us then a mapping lens to frame risks and opportunities therein. Then we moved on to the other part of reading riverscapes, because LTPBR focuses on structurally starved riverscape systems that have been devoid of structure like wood, beaver dams, etc. And so it's important to be able to know what the feedbacks are and what structural forcing looks like. So we did a bit of that. These were both substitutes to a field trip that we normally run for the in-person workshops, and there is a video that we encourage you to watch of a virtual field trip to make up for that. We apologize you don't get to be out in the field with us to look at that. Then we moved on to the sort of real meat of the planning phase, which is the resource inventory and analysis. And this is where we assess risks, condition, and recovery potential. And all of this is really to queue up that assessment and information so that you won't come into the design process knowing what your current condition is, what recovery potential you're shooting for, and prepared to think about that appropriately. And finally, Nick Weber and I talked a little bit about choosing indicators that are smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, so that these could reframe the project objectives that may have been set at the outset. And so after the planning process, we have an opportunity to reframe those and set up what we should be monitoring for success. So that concludes Module 3 on planning, and if you are going through these in order, the next module is design. That's about a 3/4 of a day module. It's a little bit longer than the previous ones, and we will take what we've learned in planning and we'll go right on through to design. All of today's slides and all of the videos, all the resources, of course, are on the website, and we thank you for your interest.